Okay, Bitcoin futures. So they've been trading for about 2 weeks, and I wanted to point a couple of things out here for you. So first of all, what you're looking at is my order book. These are limit orders sitting on the exchange. The more white it is here, the more that there are. You can see here on the DOM, most level there's only like one or two. Every once in a while there's like a 6. Yeah, overall not a lot of liquidity. Also down here is cumulative delta. Every time that somebody buys, cumulative delta goes up by 1. Every time somebody sells, cumulative delta goes down by 1. You can see there are long periods where there just weren't any trades made at all. But the thing I find the most interesting is that when we look at these market orders, they are often wrong. So here a bunch of people bought. Let's do this little peek right here. A bunch of people bought, and now price is below where they were. You can see it here on this chart again on a larger time frame. So here's a situation where they were right. There was a ton of buying, and then after they were done buying, we had a big jump up in value, and they took their profits. That's this right here. And afterwards, cumulative delta was relatively flat. Meanwhile, price was going down. So there was still a bunch of people that were long from this location that just got utterly screwed. I think this is a testament to just how difficult the short-term price of Bitcoin can be to predict. There are people on the futures making bets about the price of Bitcoin, and they're often wrong. And here you can actually see we had a limit down move. So this is where they halted the futures, and people weren't allowed to sell anymore at that point. And of course, at that point, then price recovered. I want to point out two more things for you. The first one is that this volume weighted average price appears to be pretty useful in Bitcoin. I was wondering if Bitcoin would actually respect this or not, and it looks like it does. So if you're not familiar with VWAP, it's basically you add up all of the contracts and the value at which those contracts were traded at, add them all together and divide it by the number of contracts. That's volume weighted average price. So basically it is the average price that people paid to buy or sell Bitcoin on that day. And if you're a short-term trader like myself, I tend to want to sell below the VWAP and buy above the VWAP because it's a really good indication of trend. So right now today we are in sell mode, we are below the VWAP. If you're a long-term trader, you want to do the opposite. If we're below the VWAP, that means that you can buy for a better than average price for that day. And so you would want to buy if you were a longer term trader. And you'll notice that very often we'll come to the VWAP and bounce off of it. So here's an example today. It did this many times, it bounced off. We can also look at standard deviations away from the VWAP, and Bitcoin rarely, if ever, gets more than one standard deviation away from the VWAP. The only time that we really broke it was right here when we had this limit down move. I also wanted to give you a longer term view here. So this is my Bitcoin valuation indicator. You may have seen me talking about in other videos. If you subscribe to my Patreon for $5 a month, you will get this every day. So you can see I've been saying that we were overbought above 100, and of course what happened, we had a pretty big sell-off. Now when we look at times past, it keeps going. I don't know if that's what it's going to do now, but right now I am not buying yet. I'm waiting for it to come down to 50 before I want to buy. So that's kind of my longer term view on Bitcoin. Did the futures cause Bitcoin to sell off? I don't think so, because again, when we're looking at the cumulative delta, it actually looks like in many cases the futures traders were trying to buy it, and in many cases they're just flat out wrong about the short-term price movements. But it is a little interesting, isn't it, that as soon as the CME futures started trading, that's when we really started to have a sell-off. So we'll see what happens. It's very, very interesting. If you want to see the order flow, you can go back and look at all my past videos, and You can see what it was doing at the time I show my charts and record it for the whole session. And I'll continue doing so. I'll continue showing Bitcoin. Of course, there's lots of good discussion too. So please go back and watch those other videos, and I will see you guys later.